School choice, rural hospitals, voter access. The 2026 Mississippi Legislature will impact you and your family for years to come. MPB brings you At Issue, a weekly analysis of the legislative session and the issues affecting you with perspectives from both sides of the aisle. Brandon Jones and new At Issue analyst Rebecca Staples join me, Wilson Stribling, every Monday at 5 p.m. only on MPB Think Radio and wherever you get your podcasts. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Hatred destroys the one who hates. The others that you hated, they go on about their business. Who care of us?
So the legacy of Medgar Evers is an understanding of our own humanity and of our own responsibility of seeing that in other people.
He is written out of history. He's just not included as Malcolm and Martin. To me, it's the 3 M's, and Medgar's right up there at the lead.
Everlasting, Life and Legacy of Medgar Evers. Watch now on MPB Passport. Visit mpbonline.org for more.
Good afternoon, Carol. It's more Deep South Dining on MPB Think Radio.
And it's great to start with Mississippi's own Little Milton.
Little Milton Campbell.
Grits ain't groceries.
No, not at all. I tell you what, though, we have a new time. For those of you who are a bit stumped, it is not 9 a.m., it is 4 p.m.
And we're stumped.
We have a new time, and we want to wish you all a very happy new year. I think the calendar has changed since we were last on the air, Carol. So one of the things that I wanted to touch on this morning was New Year's foods. Our friend Tim Pierce got on Cooking and Coping and
he just did a lovely job.
He did a lovely job of giving us information.
He does a lovely job of cooking every day, but he had a great idea, and I think we should build on this. Somebody called it the Cliff Notes to Cooking and Coping. He asked people to post their favorite dish of 2025. And there was just some wonderful stuff. Everything from crustless crab meat quiche to tomato sandwiches. You know, things people were excited about. And it was interesting to see what they were because it really did go from the simple to the sublime.
I got a text from Tim this morning wondering where we were, and I had to explain to him that we had moved. So we hope that Tim is with us. We always appreciate his input because he keeps our little Cooking and Coping webpage going. He and many
inspired.
Others inspired. That's right. And for me, you know, on New Year's Day, I cooked something I've never cooked before, which was a New Year's Day in a bowl. I put the peas, the greens, the andouille, the tasso, everything in one bowl. And I've never done that before, and I don't know. I guess I just hadn't noticed that seems to be a thing.
Well,
Other
Malcolm,
people
you're
do
always
this.
on top of a trend, but I'm so pleased that I got to be the recipient of
That's right.
your
You got a
New Year's-
bowl.
Yeah, I got a bowl.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was great. I'd love to hear what other people did for their New Year's
Sure.
Day.
And I made
feast.
cornbread also to go with mine. I forgot to share that with you. I used some real coarse ground yellow cornmeal that was really good. But anyway, we are here. We are glad that you have joined us this morning. You know, one of the things that I was thinking about was all of the trends that are in front of us coming into the new year. I know you've done some extensive reading and research, and we want to share that. But before we hit that, I wanted to just take a second and acknowledge the loss of a great restaurateur, a Mississippi legend, Bob Chrishell of Chrishell's Restaurant,
Just
passed
so
over the
sad.
holidays. Bob and his family have run Chrishell's Restaurant for over 70 years out on Highway 80 here in Jackson. I think he's the third generation operator. He passed, and the news is that the family has decided to keep it open until February the 15th, and then it will close for good. And that is extraordinarily sad news for those of us who love the Chrishell family, and especially Bob. And our thoughts and prayers are with he and his family.
And, you know, we're so grateful for the heritage, the Greek heritage of these Jackson restaurants. Yeah, there were so many of them, and Chriselle's is one of the last.
Yeah, well, the Greek Americans paved the way for those of us in this town in terms of the comeback sauce, the fish, the seafood, the sauces that they came up with. We're just indebted to the Greek families.
I mean, the Primos, the Sobucos, the Dinneries, the Chriselles.
You know
I mean, I just hate to. You could go on and on. But wow, we're
great
sorry.
loss, and that here our thoughts are, as I said, with the family. All right, some trends. Carol, you've done a magnificent job here. You've found several sources. New York Times every year comes out.
Only because of you. I mean, you sent. I mean, I was just nailing down the things you sent me from the Atlantic, and then the New York
had a great piece.
New York Times. Just every year there's some silly stuff, but one of the things that caught my attention, the first thing you sent me, was about how much our lives have changed. And, the American breakfast is really changing because of price and, price of eggs and, just a lot we took for granted and supply shortages. Anyway, people are really starting to budget more.
Right.
Yeah, the kind of breakfast we're used to eating is now becoming more like a brunch that you really think about doing before going out. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, and fried chicken sandwiches are sweeping the menus. Have been for a while, but certainly now. Even Taco Bell and Wendy's, among other fast food places, are really starting to rethink their menu. I mean, Taco Bell says that they're a chicken place as well as a taco place, and Wendy's codenames themselves Tendies for chicken tenders. I mean, I hate that I even know this, but
I know, it's a thing, Malcolm. But it was, of course, we've had Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
But then in 2019, when Popeyes did the chicken sandwich, that kind of started the craze. Do you remember people were lined up in New York in places to get fried chicken sandwiches? And now everybody's got to have chicken on their menus.
Yeah, and we've got an expert coming up in the second segment that we're going to ask about this particular craze.
Even in fine dining restaurants, they have to have. It says it's now become an expectation that any place you can get solid American food will have a fried chicken sandwich.
All right, before we move on, we have a caller. Carolyn from Pass Christian is calling. Hello, Carol. How are you?
Well, hello. I was in Pass Christian. I moved to Long Beach. So
well, we just can't keep up with you. But thanks for calling.
Well, I was calling about celery. I love celery. And the main reason I wanted to call was to get ideas about how to keep it fresh in the refrigerator and everything. But since I was thinking about that, I ate like the third day of black-eyed peas, and for some reason I decided to chop up celery on it, and it was wonderful.
I love
It
celery.
was just a crispy topping for the black-eyed peas, and it was wonderful. But primarily, what is the best way to store celery? Because I throw it out so much.
Well, there are a couple of, pretty general ways, and Malcolm may have some more, but one is to wash and then wrap your stalks tightly in aluminum foil and put them in the crisper in your refrigerator.
Yes.
And the other way is to submerge them in a jar of water, like you do asparagus, or some of us do asparagus in the refrigerator.
Well, now, Mama used to cut them up, cut the stalks up, and put them in water, but they weren't submerged.
Yeah, well, you submerge them, and they'll actually last for several weeks if you submerge them. But you cut, you don't just put the whole stalk. You cut the root off.
Do you have a crisper does your refrigerator have a crisper?
It's just one of those drawers.
The drawer?
Yeah.
Mine keeps forever. My celery does. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't know.
And to when you have celery that's kind of limp, and you go, yikes, I can't chop this up to make gumbo. Just submerge it in some ice cold water.
Yeah, maybe leave it overnight.
Little lemon juice.
It floats, so the ends get, brown, whatever.
Well, this kind of leads us into a trend. Celery is great, yes. But do you guys know what the vegetable of the year
of the coming
is?
year, 2026? Yes.
'Tis cabbage.
Cabbage, vegetable of 2026. Americans have a crush on cabbage, and it is so versatile, so inexpensive, and you can do so many things with it, from coleslaw to steamed to soups, cabbage soups. There's just a million ways.
These new cabbage steaks, they're
steaks.
They're cutting the big thick slices. So we must take care of our vegetables.
And do you know what the ingredient of the coming year is, Carol, 2026?
Surprise me.
Vinegar. Huh. According to the New York Times.
Well, they know because, they're in on all those surveys. I guess
texture.
we're kind of in.
Yeah.
We're in.
Texture is going to be a big thing in this coming year.
Well, lately, as a nation, we've been into a lot of crunch.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, we're going to be into a lot of gummy with the crunchy.
Okay.
So figure that out. That's like gumdrops with sparkles on them.
And more pickling and fermenting.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. Also, the word of the year in food is value, according to the New York Times.
Not to be confused, Malcolm, with cheap.
No. Value. Good value.
It's when we shop now, because of the times we're in, we're becoming more discriminating shoppers.
Absolutely.
We're looking for value.
Well, Carol, also things in the news. January the 9th is National Cassoulet Day. It is also National Bean Day on January 6th. So
I'm certainly going to celebrate National Bean Day.
What are you going to do on Bean Day?
I don't know, Malcolm. I mean, the green bean casserole, what are you going to do?
I made red beans and rice yesterday, so I'll call that my celebration.
So, we'll have dueling beans. Today is National Whipped Cream Day.
Yeah.
Hey.
Just for those of you who are trying to keep up, it's certainly not an easy thing to do. All right, here's what we're going to do, because we have a great guest holding. We want to get right to that. Chef Austin Sumrall from Biloxi is with us, and he can not only help us with some of these ideas, but we're so excited about all the news coming out of his restaurants, plural. And when he joins us right after this break, we're going to learn more about him and his restaurants and all that is going on the Mississippi Golden Gulf Coast. More Deep South Dining. We'll be right back. If you want to join the conversation, it's 1-877-672-7464, or you can shoot us an email to food@mpbonline.org. We'll be right back with more.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bobby Rush. As a blues man, I love Mississippi Public Broadcasting. If you support Mississippi music and their local programming, donate now, right now, and become a member today, not tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Doesn't matter how big or small, but we prefer big. Thank you very much.
Mississippi is a place of deep roots where every story matters and every voice can be heard. At MPB, we stand with our local communities, bringing you the voices of those who shape our state through local programming that reflects our culture across small towns to big cities, from the Delta to the coast. We tell the stories that define us, from the music that carries our voices to the leaders who inspire change. MPB brings you the heart of Mississippi, celebrating Mississippi one story at a time. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Everlasting, the Legacy Podcast, is a companion podcast to Mississippi Public Broadcasting's documentary Everlasting, Life and Legacy of Medgar Evers. Join me, Rita Brent, as we dive deeper into the story with exclusive interviews and conversations about the enduring legacy of Medgar Evers. Everlasting, the Legacy Podcast, available on the MPB app or wherever you get your podcasts. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Welcome back to Deep South Dining on MPB Think Radio. Malcolm White, Carol Palmer. This is the show all about the culture of Southern flavor and the folks who love to stir the pot. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. We got a special guest on the Zoomerama here, all the way from Biloxi, Mississippi, chef owner of White Pillars and the Siren Social Club in Biloxi, Chef Austin Sumrall. Welcome back, sir. We've had you on once before. We're glad to have you back.
Thank you all for having me.
Absolutely. How goes?
It's going great. You know, we had a great holiday season. New Year's Eve was fantastic. Looking forward to a big 2026.
Well, you've been in the news a lot. You were recognized by the Michelin folks in a recent list that they created in Mississippi. So congratulations. That is no award to sneeze at. That is fabulous and good news. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're very, very excited. You know, it's one of those things where we're almost as excited for the fact that they came to the state of Mississippi as we were about being included. You know, obviously, we all know that in the state of Mississippi, we've got great food, but it's great to, you know, let the international, you know, news outlets know also. So that's just an awesome thing.
Yeah, and it's like we have a cluster now. I mean, we have a whole cluster of great recognized restaurants that these big organizations are seeing. You know, we got some good stuff going.
Yeah, we do.
But, Austin, we were wildly excited for you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, us too. It was, you know, one of those things where it took a long time for that to sink in. Not something I ever expected to happen.
Well, there are many great things ahead in your future. And, you know, taking over the White Pillars, I guess, was quite a daunting task. I can't imagine. The place was historic. It was legendary on the coast. It closed. It had sat there empty for a while.
Decades.
And along you and your wife came, and look at this. It's amazing transformation, what you guys
Absolutely.
have done.
Well, you know, I fell in love with the space as soon as I saw it. My wife and I both grew up in Mississippi. I grew up in Macomb. She grew up in Gulfport. And, you know, as we kind of moved throughout our professional careers, we wanted to come back to Mississippi. We wanted to open our own restaurant.
Yep.
You know, give us a way to give something back. And you got to come look at this space that's available in Biloxi. And we came down here and I just fell in love with it immediately. Upon walking in the doors, I mean, you can just feel the history in the building. And, you know, it's a daunting task to bring something like that back. It had been closed since 1989 when we reopened it in 2017. So, you know, there's a lot of expectations that come along with that. But it also, you know, it gives you something back. To know that you kind of bring back a piece of history that was, you know, had laid dormant for almost 30 years.
Let's back up a little bit and talk about the path to the White Pillars. So tell us a little bit about your education and where you went from there.
Absolutely. So my wife and I both went to Ole Miss. That's where we met. Hotty toddy, a recent win. That's why my voice is a little hoarse.
You're still hoarse.
That's right. That's right. We had a good time in New Orleans on Thursday. So we met there. I got a hotel and restaurant management degree from Ole Miss. I worked for John Currance's restaurants whenever I was in school. That was kind of my first foray into professional cooking. And then, it was at that point, you know, while I was at Ole Miss that I realized that, you know, chef restaurateur was really the path that I wanted to take. And so I went to culinary school in New York at CIA in Hyde Park. right after I graduated from Ole Miss.
It's one of the most beautiful campuses in the world. I congratulate you for making that move.
It's a little different for a Mississippi boy for sure. It's on the Hudson River, if anybody doesn't know, and I think I started in December, and it snowed, like big snowed, within like a week of me being there. So I didn't really know what to think about that, but it was very fun. It was a great experience for me. I learned a lot in a short amount of time going to school there, and then of course it's not far from New York City, and able to get out of the school and go try all these incredible restaurants that we couldn't really afford. And, it was awesome. It was a great experience. But then I went from there. I worked at Cochon in New Orleans, which was also fantastic. And then I ended up at the Hot and Hot Fish Club in Birmingham working for Chris Hastings. And I stayed there for 5 years. And that was he was really my mentor and kind of helped me learn not just the cooking part, but also the business side of the restaurant and how to be successful as a restaurateur. And he just celebrated 35 years at Hot and Hot. So
that is unbelievable.
Someone that knows.
He is not that old. But you are just are so lucky. You've worked at two of the best in our area, James Beard award-winning restaurants. And chefs.
Three, actually.
Well, three if you add Currents. Right?
Well, Currents, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And back to, I wanted to ask you a question about that. When you were in the program at Ole Miss, were you working at Currents as an intern, or was that just like a side gig that you were?
Well, when I did, I was in mechanical engineering first, and I path that I wanted to take, and so I called my parents and said that, hey, I wanted to change my major to hotel and restaurant management, and their advice was to get a job in a kitchen, a real professional kitchen, to make sure that it was something I really liked. And so, and then also they told me I still had to graduate on time, so I got special permission from the dean to take extra hours, and then I was working the line at Bouret in Oxford at the same time. So I was working 3 or 4 days a week there. I didn't have a lot of spare time, but one day I was hosting a dinner party and cooking for it at my house on one of my, I had that like light bulb moment of maybe I should do this for the rest of my life, because even in my small amount of spare time, it was still what I wanted to do. So, and that's still the case now. When I have a night off, I often cook at home, and it's still something that just, I take a lot of pride in, and that just still brings me a lot of joy. And that's, in the like most basic way. And it's awesome.
Wow.
That whole saying, you never work a day in your life if you love what you're doing. Right.
Right. And growing up in Macomb, I don't know what your childhood was like, but the Dinner Bell was there. I don't know if you ever went to the Dinner Bell and enjoyed the Lazy Susan. Surely you did.
100%. And it's still there. Those restaurants were prolific in Mississippi, way back when.
Yeah, I think that's the only one now.
There's one in Vicksburg.
It doesn't have the round. They took out the round tables during COVID, so it's just square tables now.
Yeah, there's
Walnut Hills.
I think there's only a couple left, and but Dinner Bell in Macomb is still there, thank goodness. And yes, it was. I grew up in a Methodist church, and our preacher used to let us out 5 minutes early so we could beat the Baptist. And I'm not kidding at all. That is 100% true.
And he served as long as he wanted to.
That's right.
With that sort of strategy.
Still a good family friend of ours, actually.
Yeah, I think the Methodists have a good food, ethos, because Robert St. John always says, the symbol for Methodist women's jewelry is the casserole charm around their neck.
I like that. That's awesome. Yeah. Love Robert, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And by the way, he's got a new Christmas book out for those of you who are keeping up with Robert St. John.
And he's opening a new restaurant right
down there by
a couple
you.
Doors down from Siren.
It's Siren.
Yes, and we can't wait to go. because not only have you been named in the Michelin Guide, but Siren was named by Esquire magazine one of the best new restaurants of 2025, and in Southern Living. That's strong.
It is. It's been open just over a year, and I would say that we learned a lot in our first 7 years of having White Pillars open. We didn't make some of the same mistakes at Siren that we did when we first opened White Pillars. So we had a little smoother trajectory when we started there, and it's been gathering up the awards. We've had a very good run there. We're very proud of that restaurant.
Okay, well, let's kind of stop and tell our listeners and Malcolm and Carol about Siren. What is it? What are we going to see when we walk in the door? What are we going to eat?
So we call it a tropical speakeasy style restaurant. It's not like an actual speakeasy, but it's very fun. It's dimly lit. It's small. And it's in a boutique hotel called Hotel Vela that my wife and I are also partners in. It's just a beautiful space. It's a lot smaller than White Pillars. It's only 40 seats. White Pillars is 150. So a little more intimate and a little harder to get in. So make sure you make reservations. But yeah, we have a tiki style bar, and then we do continental cuisine. So cuisines of Europe. Lots of fresh pastas. We make a beef Wellington, caviar service. We do fresh oysters. But it's really fun. I think in Esquire, they called it Luxe Party Food. And I think that fits pretty good. I mean, the food is really, really good. The drinks are really, really good. But it is 100% about having a good time also.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, now about Esquire, did you know that Esquire was looking at the restaurant?
I did not. We actually found out while we were in South Carolina the day after we got the Michelin recognition. So that was a very emotional weekend for us. I knew, there's had been a lot of journalists come through both restaurants. But you never know what they're going to be, who they're going to be writing for, what they're going to be writing. So one of them put us up for that award. And and then they selected us, and so it was really, really exciting, and it was fun. We got to go to New York to accept that, and Emerald's was there too, so that's really cool. And they've got some Gulfport ties as well, so we had something to talk about, and it was it's just a really, really fun group of chefs and restaurateurs that were there that we got to hang out with.
So in 2020, you were recognized as a semifinalist for the prestigious James Beard Award in the category of Best Chef South. And also, I believe, the King of the American Seafood. You won the seafood cooking contest as well. Was that the same year?
So that was 21 for the King of American Seafood. And then we got nominated for that same James Beard Award again in 25 this year. So. Which was also very exciting. So we've had a good year this year.
Man, have you ever?
I think being the king
of
is
seafood,
important. I mean, that's, the James Beard Award, yeah, but being a king of something. What caused you to be the king? Was it what recipe was it?
So the way that one works is the states each have their own competition. So I had to win Mississippi first. Then you get invited to do the national competition, which is in New Orleans. I got some really good local snapper, and I made it 3 different ways with different parts of the snapper, which was, I think representative of our food, and that, we try to make sure that we utilize as much of the animal as possible, and even the produce and stuff that we get in as we can. We do farm to table. We we like to honor those ingredients that we get to use. It was really, really cool. I got to go up against some fantastic chefs that day, some people that I've looked up to really my whole life. And then I got to share the event with my family. My wife actually competed with me. She was my sous chef. And then my family was all there and got to watch. And my son, that was 5 years ago. So he was probably 5 or 6, ran up on the stage, and I put the crown on his head. That's something I'll never forget that moment. I mean, that was amazing for sure.
Well, your wife is your partner in Siren, and has been a big part of your career. Was she in the hospitality program too?
She was not. So she was a nurse, and she worked in the emergency room while I was in kitchens, and which was an important part of our dynamic as well when we were first starting out, because we weren't making any money, and so she supported us as we went through that, and she was always a big part of the restaurant. She did a lot with the design, and she does our social medias and everything like that. And then kind of as it grew, I kind of came to her and said, hey, I really need you to come on board here because I just need the help. And so she started here. She's our event coordinator, and she manages the office at both restaurants. But she's also, we've been together for 16 years now. And the whole time that we've been together, I've been a professional chef. So she's my number one taste tester. And it really is, I say that kind of jokingly, but it's really important because you need somebody that says, hey, this is good, and put it on the menu, or no, you need to work on it some more, because it's easy as a chef, you kind of get too close to something. Mm-hmm. So you really need an opinion of somebody who's really going to give it to you straight. And there's nobody that gives it to me more straight than she does.
And her name is Tressa?
Tressie.
Tressie.
Yes.
And where is Tressie from?
She grew up in Gulfport.
Hometown girl.
She went to Southern Miss, is that right?
She went to Ole Miss for undergrad, and then she went to nursing school at Southern Miss.
Oh, okay. All right. That's good. She's touched a lot of bases there.
That's right.
All right. Well, Carol, let's take a break. And Austin, hang around. We want to keep you for one more segment. I hope you don't have to run off
that's fine.
And do some sauteing or something. But we'll come right back.
He looks ready.
He's
got his chef coat and hat. But hang on.
I'll be right back into the kitchen as soon as we're done.
All right. So we're going to take a short break. Be right back with Chef Austin Sumrall from White Pillars in the Siren Social Club in Biloxi, Mississippi. If you have questions or comments you would like to offer to the chef or ask the chef, it's 1-877-672-7464, or email us at food@mpbonline.org. We'll be right back with more Deep South Dining.
Since 1970, MPB has been enriching the lives of Mississippians.
Everything we do gives us the chance to grow and learn.
With your support, we are always there whenever and wherever you need us. Together through the years, together in the future. Please consider making a donation at mpbfoundation.org. MPB, your stories, our mission.
School choice, rural hospitals, voter access. The 2026 Mississippi Legislature will impact you and your family for years to come. MPB brings you At Issue, a weekly analysis of the legislative session and the issues affecting you, with perspectives from both sides of the aisle. Brandon Jones and new At Issue analyst Rebecca Staples join me, Wilson Stribling, every Monday at 5 p.m. only on MPB Think Radio and wherever you get your podcasts. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bobby Rush. As a blues man, I love Mississippi Public Broadcasting. If you support Mississippi music and their local programming, donate now, right now, and become a member today, not tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Doesn't matter how big or small, but we prefer big. Thank you very much.
Welcome back to Deep South Dining here on MPB Think Radio. Malcolm White, Carol Palmer, and we are delighted today to have a special guest with us, Chef Austin Sumrall, whose restaurant White Pillars in Biloxi was recently recognized by the Michelin Guide American South, and the Siren Social Club was recognized by Esquire magazine.
And Southern Living.
And the Esquire piece was like top, what was it, Austin? Top something in the country?
Yeah, top new restaurants of 2025.
Okay, great.
And Southern Living was top 20 restaurants in the South. So, I mean,
yeah,
there you go.
Amazing. So it may seem like, you've been working on this for a very long time, but I would think to the casual observer or just the patron, it's like everything has been happening, all at once. But what is it like? I mean, how has all of this recognition affected your day-to-day business in terms of, clientele and reservations and volume and all that?
Well, you hope that it, affects it in a positive way. It's kind of hard to tell. December is one of our busiest months anyway. And then January is one of our slowest months. So if anybody's listening to this, y'all come on in. I got plenty of room tonight. But I think that exposure is good, for restaurants in general. I don't think that, that there's any like wild overnight success, even from stuff like this. But it's, it takes building it up over time. My dad always says, it's about the base hits, not the home runs. So I think that that's all important. And, we don't do this to win awards, but it is nice. And I do think it is helpful. But, we just try to put the best food out that we can. We employ really great staffs that truly care about what they're doing also. And we care about them for the same reason. And I think that that's really, you just try to build on that and gather good people and put out good food and then just hope the rest of it works out.
Well, it's interesting that you're talking about it in terms of building because, Malcolm, how long you've been in the restaurant business? Almost since you were a small child.
Since I was an infant.
And I've been
about 45 years worth,
around it in my career and restaurants are about pennies and nickels.
Yeah.
They're not going to be more pennies. And even if these awards mean that 10% more people come a year, or tourists who are on the Gulf Coast choose you or hear about you, that is very meaningful.
Absolutely. And you're right. I think a lot of people that haven't been in this business don't understand how tight margins are. And honestly, most of the time, non-existent.
Right.
And when you do
what
get
margins?
a little bit, it's a small amount, and it's hard. That part of it is very difficult, and you also you're putting your life in the hands of other people because without guests and without customers. This doesn't exist. I can't do it without people coming in. So, that's a fickle thing. I think you just do your best and you do what you can with what you've got. And what we do have is we have a beautiful space. I'm sitting in the front dining room right now of White Pillars, and I'm looking out over the sunset, over the Mississippi Sound. And it just, it's not, that ain't bad right there. That's helpful. And I didn't have anything to do with that. So that's just something that exists in general. But we also, here we have, this really nutrient rich body of water on one side of us where we get fantastic seafood. Then we have really long growing seasons and fantastic lush farmland on the other side of us. And so, we're in a food heaven, at least to me, type of place. And that does make my life easier. It's easier to start with good ingredients and end with something that's really good than the other way around. So, we just try to put all those things together and, hope that people like it as much as we do, because we certainly love it.
So growing up in Macomb, how did you feel about the coast? Did you have these fantasies about the ocean, the Gulf, the water, the Gulf Coast life, or was it just a place and you didn't think much of it at that time?
I'll be honest, I hope I don't ruffle too many feathers, but I didn't come to the coast very much when I was growing up. We were, just as close, well, honestly, closer to New Orleans.
Sure.
And that was really where we went. My mom's side of my family's from South Louisiana. My dad's side's from Jackson. So we had family in Louisiana and in the New Orleans area. And, usually when we were going out for special occasions and things like that, it was always there. And but I think that the Mississippi Gulf Coast kind of has a little bit of that same allure. There's there's really good food, and there's really good people. There's really good people that care about good food down on the Mississippi Gulf Coast too. Similar to the way it is in New Orleans.
And you have a lot of tourists, day trippers, people visiting from. You have the casinos. You have lots of things. A lot of museums. It's a rich culture.
But in our culture, people will drive for food. Mm-hmm. And I keep thinking about the Michelin Guide. I mean, and that is their that is their precept and how they started. I was thinking about Ella Brennan, the great, Ella Brennan of Commander's Palace. And about 30 years ago, she brought all of these chefs from New Orleans to Jackson for a big event we have called Mistletoe Marketplace, for nothing. And we said, why would you be so generous? And she said, well, I'm head of the New Orleans Convention and Visitors Bureau. And she said, our number one and two market are Jackson and Hattiesburg, because Hattiesburg people drive and have dinner and drive back, but Jackson people drive and spend the night. But people drive for restaurants, and you're right in that. Jackson, Hattiesburg, people will drive over to see you from New Orleans, from Mobile. I mean, you're a destination now.
Right, and that's what I think, to me, what like the Michelin Guide stuff really means on like a large scale. It's great. We're very happy to have 2 restaurants on it. But I think, in the bigger picture, that we're really excited for the tourism draw that comes with it. Because you're right, it is a travel guide specifically.
Right.
And we feel like that the coast is a fantastic culinary destination. And we do a lot of work with Coastal Mississippi, our tourism board here, to try to get that, word out to everybody, because you're right. And we see it grow every year, which is awesome. And, we're just excited to be a part of that growth too. We want our community to thrive just as much as we want our restaurants to thrive.
Well, at the top of the show, Carol and I were talking about the trends for 2026. And Austin, you're there in the trenches, behind the line, up to your ears in it. What are some of the trends that you see that aren't coming from the Atlantic magazine or from New York Times? What are you thinking as you approach 2026 in terms of food trends?
So, it's funny. I did read both of those lists. I love reading stuff like that. I'm a consumer of culinary information as well. I do enjoy it. So I've read all that. I don't take too much time thinking about trends. I think about, what I feel like works for our restaurant and, more specifically for us. I do see some movement away from like what we would call like middle fine dining. Like there's a lot of like ultra fine dining and then like casual dining, but that in between right there is kind of going away, which is not great for us because that's really where we sit. Mm-hmm. But I think what I would like to see be trending is, people caring about where their food comes from, sustainable sourcing and things like that. That would make me happy. But I don't get to choose what the trends are.
No, neither do we.
One thing I saw in some of that was that 2026 is the UN designated International Year of Women in Farming. So, Austin, keep that in mind as you look for your farm partners.
Absolutely. Well, I love that.
I do too. That's really kind of cool.
One of the trends was more female chefs, as I recall, reading back over the list. More emphasis on female sensibilities.
Yeah.
Well, I like that too. My sous chef, who is currently running the kitchen while I'm out here on the Zoom, she's 23 and a female, and she'll be more famous than all of us one day. She's fantastic talent.
Yeah, I mean it has not been that long ago that it was rare to see women as a head chef, and now it's absolutely.
The two things that astound me is how the industry has changed in terms of the awards. All of my career, you were just the only reward was that you got paid occasionally.
The chef never came out of the kitchen.
There was no chef. There was
star,
just the guy that owned the place was back in the back, or somebody in his family.
And
was
even if he was a famous chef, I mean, he was in the kitchen. The chef didn't have to be the face and the personality, but with television and all that. All that we have now, it's really changed. One trend that I think really has been several years, but this was, I think, a New York Times one. They call it non-nostalgia. They said people want warm and grounding food, not just really complex foods like their fictional grandmother. Like even if you didn't have a grandmother in the kitchen, like in your mind. That you want those kind of comforting foods, not necessarily heavy,
I love that idea. That is something, especially at White Pillars, that we like to kind of pull from. We change the menu every day in some slight way here at White Pillars, and it makes us go through a lot of different dishes. And people ask me all the time, where do you come up with dishes? And I think that there's a lot of different avenues that can start the idea of a dish, but nostalgia is just one of my absolute favorites. And, we do a dish in the summertime that we call tomato bread, and it is intended to make you think of like when you had like a fresh slice of tomato right out of the garden on, bunny bread with mayonnaise. And it has a lot more ingredients and it's a little fancier than that is. But when you have a bite of it, if it doesn't make you think of it, then that's just not something you grew up having, because it has a lot of the same kind of flavors and textures and things like that. So I love that trend. I hope that's real for 2026, because that's right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah. Do you ever do the eggplant Josephine?
We do. It's actually on our menu currently right now.
Okay.
Eggplant is getting harder to buy locally. We're lucky in that we have really long growing seasons here in our climate, especially right here on the water. So we can get it longer than most places. But the original matriarch of White Pillars, Virginia Mladinich, when she passed a few months back, we brought the dish back kind of in honor of her, and we'll try to keep it on as much as possible. It is our one dish on the menu that's not my recipe, but we do feel like it holds a strong importance for the restaurant.
Well, as a kid, I mean, we went to White Pillars growing up. I grew up in Perkinston, which is, just a stone's throw from there. But we would occasionally get to go down to the coast and go to White Pillars. And, of course, we would always get the eggplant. But for us, it was exotic. The idea that, eggplant was made into some sort of fancy dish was just exotic to us.
Even eggplant was exotic.
Yeah, right. Well, my aunts and uncles grew eggplant, but it was prepared very differently than they did at the White Pillars. So is the Mladinich family still around? I know that's a long-time Biloxi family.
Well, John passed away during the renovations of the building in 2011 or 12. And Miss Virginia passed away just a couple of months ago. But her daughter and her husband are who we worked with for our original contract with the restaurant and everything like that.
Yeah. Do they still own it, or do you own it now?
Well, actually, we own it as of about 4 days ago.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Timing is everything. Hey, before we let you go, tell our listeners where they can find you, where your social media stuff is, where they can go and look you up.
Absolutely. Well, my name's Austin Sumrall, and I'm here at Biloxi at White Pillars. Our Facebook is White Pillars, Instagram White_Pillars. And then we also have a restaurant and hotel in downtown Gulfport, Siren Social Club, and the Hotel Bella, also on Instagram and Facebook as well on both of those. And we do a lot of posting. So like all of our new drinks and new food and all that kind of stuff you can find on our social medias.
All right. Well, thanks a million for joining us, and look forward to I've been to White Pillars under your ownership several times, and I look forward to joining you at the Siren Social Club. Maybe Carol and I can make a trip down sometime.
Now.
We would love to have you.
But continue best to you and yours, and thanks so much for joining us. I want to remind our listeners that we have moved our show historically now 7 years or plus has been at 9 a.m. on Monday mornings. We are obviously not there anymore. We are here at 4 p.m. on Monday afternoons. Our rebroadcast is still on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. So if you miss us on Monday afternoons, you can catch us on Sunday mornings.
Or join our podcast community. We have a worldwide podcast community.
Cooking and Coping.
Yeah, our Cooking and Coping on Facebook. But you can go to the MPB app or wherever you get your podcasts and find us.
Thank you for joining us today. Deep South Dining is a production of Mississippi Public Broadcasting's Think Radio. We are funded by generous contributions from listeners like yourself, and we thank you. Our show is produced by Marissa Vaughn. For our special guests, Chef Austin Sumrall, and my co-host Carol Palmer, I'm Malcolm White, asking you to now stay tuned for At Issue up next, and join us next Monday at 4 p.m. for more Deep South Dining, and every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for the encore. You are listening to Deep South Dining exclusively on MPB Think Radio.